Hi, welcome to Family Law Fridays. My name is Betsy Corbett, and I'll be your host for today. Family Law Friday is designed to be a resource for all women with a family law issue. Today, we'll be discussing when you're getting divorced with children, particularly toddlers. Before we get started, I wanted to give you some information about our host, Heather Quick. Heather is the founder and owner of Florida Women's Law Group that advocates for women in North Florida. The firm educates and empowers women on the law so that they can find the strength to endure the process and end up better both financially and emotionally. She's been a licensed Florida attorney for over 20 years, with most of her practice being in family law. Please join me in welcoming Heather Quick to Family Law Friday.
Thank you so much, Betsy, and welcome to all of you once again, and Happy New Year. I hope that everyone is looking forward to what's to come this year. Some may be good, some may be bad, but either way, we're all going to experience, I think, a lot of change again this year. Today, we're going to talk about something that I've been thinking about for a while, just because we see it in our practice all the time, and I've noticed just some differences with the way, the differences in the age of your children when you divorce. So, and that means I'm talking all throughout their development, even into adulthood. And my views have changed based on, one, understanding the research on one hand about what's best for children, but just in all these years of practice and, walking through this with so many women, all different ages of the children and different experiences. And I've come to recognize that the children now, and there could be several reasons for this, seem to have a harder time the older they are. And I mean, even adults, more so maybe sometimes when you think, wait, you're like 20 something years old, and there could be a lot of reasons for that, but, and maybe they're just able to vocalize and they're going to let you know exactly how they think versus the other ages. So maybe they make it harder on you as a parent than when your children were younger. And so that's what really prompted us to open this up and have a series where we talk about, what we've learned in the research and what our experience here at Florida Women's Law Group has been that I can share with you based on other women who have been through it at different stages, and maybe the way they enter the divorce and what they're thinking the issues or difficulties are going to be, and then what they end up being. And isn't that true for so many of us? We really think it's going to be one thing, and then it's a little bit different, and that's life. And so really, not that there is a one step formula recipe for how to make this work depending on the ages of your children, but I can share with you what I've learned from their experiences, and that you can use to help you make your decisions moving forward. So today I'm going to talk about some of the challenges and nuances when you have toddlers and when you are divorcing. Now, this can be, when I say divorcing, I am thinking in the traditional going through the court system. Many individuals don't marry, live together, and then separate. And, for whatever reasons they don't marry, if they think it's to avoid the court proceedings of a divorce, that's incorrect. Then you have to go through a paternity action in order to establish time sharing and how child support will be paid, things like that. So that, and I'm not going to really dive into the differences of either one of those, but we're really going to talk about how the court's going to look at time sharing based on the age of your children and what the research shows, and how you as a parent can maybe make some decisions as you're getting ready to go into this, or if you're in it right now. When I am talking or saying toddlers, that's really from, best I can figure out 18 months to about 36 months, 3 years. So that period of time, usually, there's a lot of change, but that's where I'm referring with toddlers. And we're going to start with that. I will probably later do a series on the infants, and younger than 18 months, and some of the things that the research shows on that. But today we're going to start with toddlers. We're going to talk from the what's best for them psychologically, and what you can expect from the court system, and how best to prepare yourself for what you're looking at in regards to a time sharing schedule. So when you are divorcing or separating and your child is within that age bracket, it is a time with the children for everything's moving really fast, as you know, and they're changing and they're growing and then changing emotionally and social change. Because typically within that age bracket, they're going to have a lot of different caregivers through either preschool, play dates, maybe the childcare at the church or the gym, different family members, and they're beginning to recognize, trust those different caregivers. So they know if, when grandma shows up, like they're getting a cookie or they're getting a lollipop, but they're going to be safe, and they trust that. Say she comes, a couple times a week, or if they have a nanny, they know that. They know that person is part of, their routine, but they are, of course, becoming very independent. A lot of times you will see a difficulty in the exchange at this age. And that can be seen in a normal situation. And then so now if we have a situation where you've been staying at home with them or you've had a nanny, now that change is going to be different. It's either going to be if you're not home or you're taking them over to their father's, or maybe because of the divorce, you're going to transition with the daycare, with the nanny to a daycare. Either way, that's going to be disruptive to a child of this age. And it's going to make it very difficult on both you and your spouse. So just understanding that a change, especially if you've had a pretty good routine and now you got to change it up, it's going to be difficult. I would encourage you as best you can, if you can maintain that child's schedule, say whether it's preschool or their primary caregiver being the nanny, or if it's you as the mother, and that will help with the other transition, because eventually we're going to get to overnights. So your husband may be home now and there's not a whole lot as you're beginning the divorce process, but eventually the two of you are going to live separate. And usually that does occur while we are going through the divorce. So you need to prepare yourself. Okay, and most fathers do, want their child coming over and spending the night once they get settled in an appropriate place that they have, appropriate for that child. So you need to prepare yourself for that, and then be thinking of what's best. We have many clients that the women come in and say, oh, my husband, he says he wants 50-50. And that is a very common thing to hear. And at the end of the day, the decision of time sharing is on what's best for the child. Now, the courts go to the research. Sometimes experts are appointed, and a lot of the experts, and in cases that I've used, is what you're going to find is they're going to say frequent contact and short absences from either parent are going to be what's best. And that may be very difficult in the beginning. One day here, one day there, 2 days here, 2 days there. But it may be what's necessary. And you can, even with all those frequent back and forth, you can incorporate a schedule. And really at that age, that child needs some certainty and schedule. And they will adapt to, this is the way it is at mom's, this is the way it is at dad's. As a mother speaking personally, and who's had the benefit of representing so many women over the years, I know some women mothers who are a bit controlling in the schedule. And I will tell you, I understand. And I used to be that way too. I was really wanted the bedtime there because we want peace and we want some, we want a break. And the bedtime, I kind of used to obsess a bit about it, and I've met several women who have. So I understand that. And then you're like, if he goes over there, he's not going to go to bed on time. And at least in my experience, the later my child stayed up as an infant, the earlier he woke up. And it just made for a horrible afternoon the next day. That is not within your control anymore. Now you can communicate that. And you can communicate that these routines are helpful to the child, but at the end of the day, when he's with his dad's going to do what he's going to do. And as long as he's safe and he's taken care of, you're going to have to deal with it. And the dad's going to have to deal with the change in schedule when he goes there. And that's not ideal, where it's up and down and you've got these kids bouncing around from, doing different things at different households, but you may have that experience in the beginning. Hopefully things will settle down and it will evolve as the child gets older, because that's going to be what you are going to seek out from, your experts on your side, some family counseling. It's like, we need to know what's best for this family with your particular schedule and how many kids you have, your lifestyle, your work schedule, everything. If you just agree to a cookie cutter arrangement, you're really not considering your child and yourself and your spouse and what works for you guys. Even though you're no longer a family within one household, you're in two. Really important to try things out. I understand that once we're in the divorce process, you're not the decision maker of everything, but I'm sharing with you my experiences. Be open. Potentially there's an opportunity to discuss with your spouse. Let's try some different things on a schedule and on days to make sure that works for us. Routinely in our practice, we engage experts because I'm not an expert on child psychology. Far from it. I have a lot of experience dealing with women going through a divorce who have children. So I have that experience to tell you, but I don't have the training or the experience to really recommend to the court. It's inappropriate. I can't recommend. I can ask the court for what I want, but we want somebody to come in, if it's necessary, recommend to the court, this family, this child, this is the best thing for this period of time. It may need to be revisited. It probably will. Once the child reaches, age 4 and then 5 and then goes into school. Those are really important things. If you don't have that, what are you doing? You're just really, rolling the dice and asking the judge they do the absolute best they can, but they have to base it on the information they have. They may or may not have experience with children. They have experience in the courtroom. They've heard lots of stories, but do they know if those work or not? No, because nobody goes back to court to say, hey, judge, that was a great idea. This is working. I haven't heard of that very often. So you need somebody in your corner who's really evaluating your family, who can then give an opinion to the court. That is very important. Too often, women come to our office after the fact and they tell us what happened. And I ask, well, who did you have? And they never thought to bring an expert or do that and really give the court some guidance as to what will be best. Because it does vary. And then they're going to pick something, may or may not work. Very important. Maybe you're in that situation. The judge picks something. It's not working. You got to go change it. It depends who it's not working for. If it's just not working for you, maybe not. But generally, if it's not working for you, it's probably not working for your child either. And maybe there's a better way. There's always other options. We just have to look and see. And what's the likelihood of success in changing that? And again, many times, even before we file, before we go to court, we are building a strategy. We're working with our clients and making sure they're in counseling. The children are in counseling, and we have some solid recommendations as to what's going to be best. And at the end of the day, if you get anything out of this video, it is you must have a mental health professional involved when we're dealing with disputed issues of time sharing and custody, visitation with your children and your spouse. If you guys aren't seeing eye to eye and those kids are having trouble, you got to involve a psychologist, a mental health licensed counselor, somebody that is a safe place that can assess and be objective and say, listen, guys, this, you got to do something else. And this is what I would advise. And who can then hold you accountable and help bring the family through this ordeal. As lawyers, we can litigate you through, but we need to know which direction, and we need to know what a professional is going to advise, because that's what the court will listen to. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for it to get better. You're looking for your children to continue to bond with you and with your spouse. You don't want them screaming for you the entire time you're gone. That may be like, oh, that feels good for a while, but you don't want your children in distress. You want them to, maybe they don't have a great bond with their father. Well, they got to get one if they're going to be over there. And so, at the end of the day, we have to do what's best for these children, and they're going to act out in the best way that they know how, which can be tantrums, can, be crying fits, but it's usually how, they should hopefully resolve themselves quickly, particularly if this is a new response. And that's where you can learn skills to help them out of that. And if both parents can be involved in that therapy, it will help you both and help your child get through it. And typically what you'll see when we're going through the divorce with the toddler is it's more disruptive to you and more troubling to you as a parent, probably, than to the child, because of their age and they do have an understanding of, their schedule, and, they are picking up on your emotional cues. So, just know that, because going through a divorce, you can be anxious, nervous, upset. I mean, they pick up on all that. You may not say that, or you may be so tense inside. When you're dropping them off, they read that. And, I'm not telling you how to act. I'm just telling you they sense it. So understand, you can tell them what a great time and all this stuff, but if you're feeling anxiety and nervousness inside, they are going to read that. And that may be hard to acknowledge and or deal with on your own, but there are a lot of ways. And that's why, again, therapy help you deal with that. I don't think that those feelings are abnormal. I don't. I think that those are a normal emotion that you as a mother will go through when your child is that age and in this transition. So looking for healthy ways for you to get through with that. And of course, talking to them. I mean, and showing them lots of love and helping them, this is going to be great. And you and your spouse are going to do that differently as you both divorce, and the two of you may not agree on how to do it. And it's unfortunate, but you probably didn't agree when you were together. It just didn't seem as magnified because you felt maybe more in control of what was going on with the kids. And, all of that is said to say, all of this being said for you is to say you're not alone. We are helping women every day deal with these issues. And what we are able to help you with is through the legal process. And if there's something that we are able to see, because we're on the outside looking in, it's just so much clearer for us, frankly. And, to guide you to the right therapist, to the right individual that can help your family, because as stressful as this time can be, and it can be just frankly because you've got a young child or 2 or 3, and it wears on you, and you don't sleep great, and you've got so many things that they're learning, they're walking. I didn't even get into, they're into everything, and baby proofing, toddler proofing everything, and there's just a lot to go through. And now adding on to that, now we've got to figure out time sharing and when they're going to be there and when they're going to be here. So we recognize it's a lot. And if you find yourself in this situation, or you have more questions about how am I going to do this, what's the court going to order when we have children of this age, reach out to us and let us help you walk through that. We do this every single day, and we're here to help women just like you. So I thank you for watching. And if you are going through anything of this nature, or have a friend, family member, someone you know that maybe they just need to hear this and know they're not alone and that, yes, they're going to make it through, have them give us a call at Florida Women's Law Group. We are here to help you through this process.
Thank you, Heather, and to everyone that was able to listen today. As Heather said, we're here for you, whether it's on this topic or another one, or you have any type of legal question, please give us a call at 904-241-0012. Thank you for joining us and enjoy your day.